Okay, so over to DevTools we go. This was our beginner question. So this is what it looked like to begin with. Now, let's just go through the errors first. So I'll zoom in slightly, and can anyone remember where the issues were with this one then? You can't see it? Should still work on the YouTube channel. Yeah, even just don't go to kadiri.live, just go to youtube.com/kadiri, and then it should be streaming live. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So where were the issues with this one then?
Line 5.
Line 5. Yeah. What do we need on line 5? Semicolon. You say, Helder? So that's my elegance issue. Yeah. What about this? Is this okay with the? Yeah, I'm not sure if that was in the original or not, but that's my terrible typing up of it. Anything else? So line 6 was close curly braces to enclose our function in a block, and line 7 we said, I think this was alright as well in the original, but I'm terrible with my semicolon, so let's add that one in there. Okay, and what are we expecting this function to return? 268 as numbers, as an object, as an array, as an array. Nice. Let's run it, double check. Oh, I've obviously got some breakpoints in there, so they're invisible again. Let's just go through this. Okay, 268. Cool. So that's what we expected. Now I did want to add some breakpoints in here, so let's see whether it will let me. Yeah, we can leave that one there. Will it let me do 5? Let's do something inside the map. Yeah, so I think, hopefully this will let me have a breakpoint there. So inside the map, on line 6, which is the closing of the function, so you could view that as the function line, and then line 7 here on the invocation. So, has Ricardo done this with you yet? We do execution order? Yeah? How did it go last time? No point. Okay, so we'll practice this a lot throughout the course, just getting used to the execution order of the functions that we write. Who's going to start me off for this one? What do we think the execution is? So let's say we've got line 5, 6 and 7 highlighted, but 5 is within the map function. Yeah, just to be clear. So who's going to start me off? One at a time, please. So who's volunteering? Is that Walter? Yep.
7 first, and line 5.
So Walter says 7, 5, and that's it. So 5 just runs once, and does 6 run as well? 5 run 3 times. Okay. So 6 it just sort of skips over, yeah. So this is meant to be the whole function block. That's where I can put a breakpoint to show the whole sort of function block on 6. So do you think that goes in there anywhere, or 6 at the end? Is that Walter's answer or Vivian's?
I don't put 6.
No, don't put 6. Okay. So Vivian, do you want to amend that at all?
Yeah, add 6 to the end.
All right. Anyone else? Bouquet, Pelin, Lucia, Sullivan down the end. Any ideas? Carl? No, not sure. Take a guess. Do you agree with Walter or Vivian? 7555. Yeah, so you agree with Walter. All right.
I'm gonna change now.
Oh, not now. Carl's agreeing with you. Definitely not. Shall I run it then?
If someone doesn't say because I think JavaScript, what it does, it compiles first the function and put it in the top. So it reads first the function. So that bracket is gonna read it first. So the
Okay, so Walter said something really interesting there. He said what JavaScript does first is it
Reads.
essentially assigns a space in memory for the function. Yeah.
put it in the top.
So therefore,
line
Walter's
6 is
saying
gonna read it first,
that line 6 will actually be read first.
and then 7.
Then we invoke the function, and then the body of the function gets run, yeah, gets executed. So, huh? No? Don't agree?
Yeah, we'll see.
Let's see,
I think
let's see.
it's 7 first. I don't think it actually runs. It looks for the function after it finds that
Okay.
function for that.
7.
Okay, so it's saying 7 first. No, that's... So I think it was part way through. Hang on, hang on. Is it stopping there? Okay, something's not working here with the breakpoints because it's not stopping at all in the map. Okay, is that better? Let's try again. Still not working. Okay, alright, so after 7 it definitely goes to 5. And then that's once, twice, 3 times. And then it ends. So it's not actually pausing on 6, but I agree with Walter, it should pause. If I could put one on line 4, which it won't let me, it should pause there first. So yeah, JavaScript will create memory space for the function. Then when we invoke it, it will actually run the internal bit of that function. So in this case, I agree with Walter's answer, but sorry, I haven't been able to demonstrate that properly through our breakpoints. Hopefully it will work on the next one when we look at the intermediate one. Let's try one more time, just adding these in. So I think, yeah, it just goes straight to 5 if I try and do that. Let's try once more.
So even if you don't invoke it,
If I put it here, that might work. Okay, let's try. So let's skip all through these. Okay, nice. So let's run this. Hopefully it'll stop on 6 first. It's just disappointed again, right? Alright. I'll try and demonstrate that again in the future. But what were you saying, Nico?
you're saying that even if you don't invoke it, you would still allocate space in memory for the function.
Yep,
As
Yeah.
the first
that's the first step.
operation.
Yeah, ready to be invoked.
So it's a waste of resources to create functions that you're not using within particular programming.
Is it a waste of...
Yeah, because I'm thinking that you might have a lot of functions that you might use later on and you might just keep it and not call it.
Yeah, you wouldn't really want that unused function in your production code, would you?
Because I thought if it's not called, it's not going to be used, so it's not going to use any space in memory for it.
Yeah.
No, it's loaded in the memory. So in case it will be called, because program runs top to bottom, it will read. If
Yeah.
somebody invokes a function, it will have it, but just won't run anything.
Yeah.
So if you put 2 functions, like these will be still read, and you can call them from a memory.
Yep, absolutely. Cool. Let's look at the intermediate one. So solve this first, and hopefully we'll get the breakpoints to work properly on this one. Here we go then. So, I know people got a bit confused with how it was written. So written on many lines here with average, then value, then scored at length on a separate line. Let's fix it first. So can we remember, there are quite a lot of typos or things to fix in here. Length, yeah. So length's definitely one. I'm going to leave that right until the end because I want to ask a couple of questions about leaving length as it is and how that affects the function. But yeah, you're quite right. Length should be th and not ht at the end. Very common spelling mistake. So that can mean your whole function's not working as expected. Yep, so we've got 2 parameters up here. So let's make sure that we enclose them within our brackets. Anything else?
The those as well, the reduce function.
So we've got, Walter's saying we've got an open bracket here, and that's not closed anywhere. So where will that go, Walter?
Go after that.
Yeah, after that? Okay.
And also close the function.
Close the whole function.
There, yes.
Curly braces. Yep.
Yes.
Semicolon 13. Yeah, that wasn't in the original, but that's my fault. Line 11 as well, you say? Yep. So that's this return finishing and this return as well. Yeah, semicolon. Anything else? Or looking pretty good? I know the length, but let's leave that for now. Yeah, a little bit of debate maybe about this score at this stage. It's scores, right? Plural. I know we want to get one score average, but maybe you'd call that scores to begin with. Yeah, scores.length. Otherwise, score.length. You'd expect that to be 1, right? So,
Can I ask a question?
of course you can. You can ask a question, Nika.
Yeah, that's what confused me. Inside the reduce function,
Yep.
the return is necessary because you're on more than one line, correct? Otherwise, you could do without the return if it was all on one line. Am I right?
No, because we need to return an accumulator for the next iteration of the reduce function. Yeah, so we need to return something. Or are you just saying that if it was all up here on line 5 after the arrow?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, yep. So arrow functions don't need an explicit return statement if they're all on one line.
Yeah, that's what
It's implicitly.
every time I saw multiple lines, I get confused for one reason. That when you learn it, to try and learn it the easy way, I learn it as a one-liner.
Sure.
But it should be the other way around. You should learn it this way, and then when you're familiar with it, maybe move to the one-liner. Anyway.
Yeah, maybe there's definitely dangers in the one-liner by learning that first, and then hold on, we've introduced these curly braces and the return. Why have we done that?
The curly braces. Because if we put the curly braces also in one line,
You don't
we need it.
You don't need the curly braces.
No, you don't need the curly braces if it's all on one, all on line 5. Yeah. Okay.
It's not better as well. Instead of putting that curly braces, we put parentheses. And we will save of using return. So we save there like one line, one word literally. We don't save anything. Probably breaks.
Let's, to avoid complicating it even further, let's just keep, if it goes over multiple lines, curly braces, yeah, and then the return statement. And you can group the return statement in brackets if you wish. Yeah, well, you will need to if it goes over multiple lines, yeah. Okay. Right, so, a couple of questions then. What does it return, what, with scores.length written like that? Is that what you're asking? Oh, the 0. Okay, yeah. First, let's just ask what it returns with scores.length like that. So what will scores.length be in this case?
It's a property, but it's not complaining for that, no?
So scores exists, yeah?
Yes.
And we're calling this method on it. Does this method exist?
Length is misspelled.
It's misspelled, yeah? So what will the return value just of that little bit there? What will that value? Undefined? Yeah, I agree with that. Okay. So what will the whole function return then? So if this was undefined, what would this return?
You cannot divide anything though.
5 and 7.
So what happens? Yeah, well, that's the question then. What happens if we divide a value with undefined?
Turn it to 0, but you cannot divide by 0, no?
5 and
It's undefined. The whole outcome should be undefined.
Okay.
If you divide by 0, you get infinite in some certain path.
If you divide by 0 in JavaScript, you do get infinity. Yes, you do get infinity. That's the way of stopping the programs breaking completely. Yeah, you've got infinity in there as a value. So the whole function, what will it return? We've had undefined, we've had another number, or 0, or did you say not a number, Davide? Or another number, sorry. Yeah. Okay, let's run it. We've still got breakpoints. It does return not a number, yeah? Because when we divide any number by undefined, you can see that it would return not a number.
Because of the type.
Because undefined is not a number, so it makes everything into not a number, yeah? And if we divide by 0, we get infinity. Yeah, as you can see there. Okay. So let's change it to what it should be, and then we can play around with the breakpoints. What will it return now? It will return a number. Cool, I agree with that. But it won't return the number that we expect. What number do we expect from the average of 1, 2, and 3? 2. We expect the number 2. And what will it return in this case?
7.
7? That's a random one from Bilius.
No, 7 is a good number.
7 is a good number, but it won't return 7 in this case. It will return, what did we say, 2 and 2/3, yeah, or 2.666, yep. And we'll look at why it does that when we look at the breakpoints. Hopefully they'll work for us. So let's just run it, just to check that. Yep, 2.665, weird bit of float number rounding going on there with JavaScript, but hey, we get the idea. Right, so how would we fix that? That was the next question. So we had a lot of different options for that. A common thing that people were trying to do was to maybe return the sum first and then divide it by scores dot length, yeah? And obviously getting rid of all that. Now that would have worked. That's fine. Get the sum first and then divide the sum by 3. Obviously that's how we're taught usually in maths to do it. We wanted to do everything inside the reduce function though, because the scores.length would have come outside the reduce function. So how can we make our reduce a bit more powerful or a bit more flexible? Would you say, Walter?
No, sophisticated.
A bit more sophisticated, yeah, okay, let's make it a bit more sophisticated. How can we make it more sophisticated? I think Pelin suggested earlier. So you said we could add an initial value for the accumulator. So the accumulator being average in this case. And what could we initialize the average to? 0, yeah? Will this now return 2? Yes? No? Yeah, it will. Because the average here is not being divided by scores.length. So 0 divided by 3 or 0 not divided by 3 is still going to be 0, right? So it doesn't affect it in that way. Cool. So that's what we were looking for, just that small little change there rather than trying to rewrite the whole function. And generally when we do board changes, we won't get you to rewrite the function. We want you to look for the errors and explain the code as it is, and then we're asked that question, you know, how could we improve that, or how could we fix this error? So I like the way you're thinking by you know, realizing that the mistake here is with scores.length, but let's try and keep the change as simple as possible in the future. Yeah, nice. Let's have a look at breakpoints. Or any questions on that first?
What if instead of 0 to initialize, you put an empty string?
If instead of 0, we put an empty string to initialize, is Nico's lovely question to really challenge us and get us thinking.
What do you think?
What's going to happen? Nico's going to do the next workshop, I think. He's already preparing. He had an idea earlier.
I have a solution. same.
You think it's going to be the same?
Yeah, because you're gonna
String
make a summatory
plus.
later. So when you do that, you're gonna transform that string into a number. So it's like 0. It's false. I think.
Whoa.
I don't bet in my house keys or nothing like that. No,
I'm glad you didn't, because look at that. 0.33. Yep. So it has converted everything to a string essentially. Yeah, I think we'd have to put the breakpoints in there to see exactly at each step what it's doing. So let's.
What is that number? There are 2 dots on it.
What is that number? There's 2 dots on it. Very good point. Because it must have concatenated it in some way, right? Because it's not interpreting it as a number. It's interpreting it as two decimals concatenated together. Concatenated, sorry.
String plus number means a string.
Yes. Yeah.
So
String plus number
that's
always implicitly converts to a string.
It won't cast into.
No, it wouldn't cast into a number. No, because you've got one string that we put in there. So string is like the thing that it always converts to if it can. If you've got one string in there, everything will get converted to a string. Yeah, so we've got string plus the value, which will become empty string plus the value as a string. Yeah. Sorry, did you say something, Luigi? If you put an empty array, okay, here we go. We could go on forever, right? Yeah, I see in the style it's similar. Ah, look, we still get the same. That's very interesting. So it's yeah, let's add some breakpoints, I think, to understand that fully. So here was, oh no, that's the beginner one. So here was one I prepared earlier with the breakpoints, hopefully in the correct place. So notice we've still got that breakpoint on number 10, which should be the initializing or the storing in memory of the function, allocating memory space for the function. So execution order first, and then we'll play around with these different accumulator values, and hopefully we can see what it's doing at each step. Yeah. So start us off. Who's not paying attention? Carl down there. Are you having a little private conversation? What's going on? What do you think's the order for that one? The execution order. We've got breakpoints on line 3, line 4, line 10, and line 11. No? Don't know? Oh, not in there. Someone else? Anyone else? 11, 3, 4. 3. Whoops. 4. Okay. 11, 4, 3. Who said that? Was that Vivian? Me. that helps. Okay. Say again, Pelion. 11, 3, 3, 4. Anything else? Said 11, then 3, then 4. Anything else?
3, 4.
3, 4 again.
That's a really good point, actually. What Helen said. 11, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4.
How many times does reduce iterate in this case? The reduce function iterate. 3. Okay. The zero's here. So 0 is the initial value of the accumulator. Oops. In this case, yeah, that's here. You can see it, yeah. So that. You saying that wasn't before? Yeah, we changed that before as well.
So
So we think it maybe runs 3 times, it maybe runs more, maybe runs less. Okay, let's see when we go through it. So in general, people are saying it goes through 3 times. So does that mean, Pelin, you think it would go 11, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4? Because it goes through 3 times, or?
If Ellen is right, I'm changing my answer. If she isn't, I'm not changing.
So in other words, if someone else got it right, you said the same as them, yeah? Retrospectively. And if they got it wrong, then you didn't agree with them. Okay, I've got that, Bouquet. It's very tactical play. So 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, and 10, yeah?
So you change.
Okay. Any other guesses? Or shall I run? Yeah, go for this, yeah.
right, can I see lines?
You can in a second, yeah.
Alright, so first we'll run like 11 definitely.
Vilius says first 11.
11, what else? Okay, after, okay, goes in the reducer function, so line 3.
Then line 3.
Okay, and for each value it will apply 3 times, so line 4 is 3 times.
Then 4, 4, 4. Uh-huh.
Yeah, for each value it will.
Yep, yeah, I understand, yeah. So it will stop 3 times on the breakpoint in
Yeah, on
line 4.
3, and
Yep.
after it will return accumulator.
And afterwards it will return the final accumulator, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yep, so 11, 3, 4, 4, 4. 11, 3, 4, 4, 4. Uh-huh.
If I understand from the previous example, you said first you need to allocate memory for
Yeah.
functions. So I would do like videos with 10, prepend 10 to videos answer.
Okay. Yep. So Nico said...
If I understand what we said earlier, but maybe
Yes. That is what I said. I said the function should get allocated in memory first.
So 10, then 11, blah, blah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think I'm going to run it now, unless anyone else. Lucia, no, don't know. Meh. Okay, let's try it. Let's try. It should be on 10. Yeah, it's annoying why it's not stopping. Right. So once it gets to 11, we invoke the function. Then it goes to the reduce, yeah, which is 3. And then it should step inside that reduce. Okay, so we got, for some reason we got a breakpoint here and a breakpoint here on the same line. They're doing the same thing, right? So it's once on 3. Then it goes inside. And in this case, the average is what value? 0, good. And the value itself is, and the value itself is what? 1, yeah. I just spoiled that for us. Value itself is 1. Cool. So if we step over, now the average is a third. Makes sense, because we've divided by score.length. And the value is coming from here. The value is 2. Yeah? 2, good. Next steps, the average will be? So on this step still, we've got a third plus 2 divided by 3, which is 1. So on the next iteration, average should be 1, yeah? And then the value should be 3. So let's check that. Next step, average, 1, that's what we said. Value, 3. Scores.length, still 3. Yeah? So we've got 1 plus 3 over 3, giving 2. Yeah? And that should be the last step over. Yeah. And then it returns 2. So you're quite right, it does iterate over 3 times. So, based on what we did, it did do Villius's one, but for some reason it's not stopping on 10, and it should stop there first. So let's see if we can add this again. Just leave both of them there, right? See whether it picks up one of them. And let's run it. Come on, 11. 3, 4, 4, 4. Okay, okay. I tried this earlier and it did stop on 10, so I don't know what's happening differently. But we'll try and demonstrate that through another example for you later on. Okay, so just last question then. If I took off the accumulator, sorry, not the accumulator, yeah, the initial value of the accumulator, how many times would it run through the function? How many iterations would the reduce function do?
3.
Still 3? So 1 for each element. Okay. Anyone disagree?
Two. I'm agreeing.
So some other people are saying 2. We've got Walter, Villius say 2.
2. 100%.
Hands up for 2. Still thinking? Hands up for 3. Hands up if you're not participating in the hands up.
I agree with 3.
Luigi, you agree with?
3.
3. Luigi says 3 as well.
No, it's 3.
No, it's not 2.
Why?
Because I cannot see.
Okay, let's run it and hopefully end some debate. Come on, breakpoints.
Yeah, but
But I have my arguments,
it's 3 times to the
So we invoke it.
function.
It goes to 3. How many times will it run line 4? Once. Average is 1. Value is 2.
Exactly. So you are ignoring.
Average has been calculated. Value is 3. That's only on the 2nd time. 3rd time? Nope. Because we've run out of elements. Yes, so on the first iteration it used both of these values.
Yeah, you have to say what we believe.
So it only used 2, yeah. The accumulator was set to the first element and the value was set to the 2nd element in the array.
So
Okay.
if you don't give an initial value, it takes the first value of the array's initial value.
Yep, the initial value of the
and it's erased
accumulator
for
is...
the rest of them.
Yes, exactly.
it's
So it will iterate 1 less than the length of the array. Yeah. Cool. That was pretty much all I wanted to ask on that. Any questions from you guys? Oh, we wanted to do if the accumulator was strings and stuff like that. Should we do that again? So, let's have a look at the array one, because I found that one pretty interesting. And let's step through. Okay. So that's the same. So our average is our empty array. Our value it's taking as 1. So we've got empty array plus 1/3, right? So if we did that down in the console, that converts them both to a string, basically. It's converted the empty array to a 0. And then,
the array is like
well, or the array is not included.
it's an empty string.
Yeah. I think this is a good time to play a video in a second of the confusing aspects of JavaScript. But yeah, so anyway, we've got that initially. And then, on the next step, that should become our accumulator, right? The string of 0.33333333. Yeah? And now we're adding on 2 divided by 3. So we're now adding on, this will get converted to a string under the hood. So that will become, yeah, that's when it's concatenated there's two strings of 0.33333 and 0.66666, and it's put those into a single string. So that's why we've got those weird 2 decimals in there. And I think that's it, right? Yeah, and then we get that as our return value. Yeah, so some really weird, confusing behavior. It either behaves like a ghost. Yeah, it almost does. It behaves like an empty string, right? It's converted to an empty string. Yeah. Walter wants an object now. we could go on forever, right? But we've got a bit of time because the platform is not functioning as expected. So let's. Can I return an array? Let's have a bit of fun. Yeah, why not? Let's go through. So our average is object, yeah, value is going to be a third. What will it do to both of them? Oh, look at that. It converts it into string object and then puts the third on the end of that. Puts the third on the end of that string. So, in other words, what's the lesson here? I think if you know you're working with numbers, make sure you initialize your accumulator to a number as well. Otherwise, it's going to get converted to a string and have some very weird behavior when you try to add strings of numbers and objects and all stuff like that. Yeah? I'll play a quick video now, which won't make any more sense, but it's at least a bit of a laugh. Which is this one. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Has Ricardo played this yet to you?
Yes.
Has he played it already? Let's see it again.
Yes.
Alright, good. You guys know what WAT means? WAT.
My volume's not very loud,
Exactly.
sorry.
Exactly. Let's talk about Ruby.
Who's got loud volume on their laptop?
In Ruby, if you reference an undefined variable, of course it name errors, as you would expect. And if you try to assign B to A with them undefined, of course it name errors, as you would expect. And what happens if you try to assign A to A with A undefined? Correct. Nil. WAT. Let's talk about Ruby. Ruby, unlike some other dynamic languages, does not have bare words, so you cannot just type words in and have strings come out. Unless you define a particular method missing that does the right thing. And then if you type bare words, suddenly Ruby supports bare words. And in fact, it will even support bare words with bangs in them. And this is not deserving of WAP. This is actually a result of how awesome Ruby is. But if you ever actually do this, then WAT. Let's talk about JavaScript. Does anyone know in JavaScript what array plus array is? Well, let me ask you this first. What should array plus array be?
Array plus array. So we had array plus
Empty array, I would also accept type error. That is not what array plus array is. Wrong. Wrong. Array plus array is empty string.
There we go. Array plus array is empty string. So I think we found that. Yeah, we have this
Obviously,
empty
I think that's obvious to everyone. Now, what would array plus object be? This should obviously be type error because those are completely disparate types. Does anyone know what this is? No. Close. No. Far away. It's object. Right. Nicely done. Now, of course, because this is plus, so you can flip the operands and the same thing comes out. So if we do, what? No, that's just an object. If you do object plus array, you should get exactly the same thing, which, as you can see, you do. And finally, the only one of these that's actually true is, because you add arrays, you get empty string, that doesn't make sense. But an object plus an object is actually not a number, technically. So this one's actually right. And exactly, right? Like, what is even going on in this lab? I don't even understand what person with a brain in their head would think that any of this is a good idea. Okay. Enough making fun of languages that suck. Let's talk about JavaScript. If I say array.new 16, or just array 16, I get an array of 16 things, which it represents as 16 commas, which is obvious. And if I then join those with a string, then I get the string 16 times. This is actually the only line in this entire presentation that's reasonable. Now, if I take that string and then add a 1 to it, it interprets the 1 as, or casts the 1 to a string, and then we get wat1 a bunch of times. Fine. Does anyone know what will happen if I subtract 1 from the string? I'm assuming no one does. I'll give you a hint. Does this help? Does anyone know? Wet man. That's all I got. Thank you, guys.
So there we go. You've picked a lovely language to learn, everyone.
Array 16 times.
Walter's experimenting with more. All right, we'll leave it there, guys.